Alright, hello everyone. Thank you so much for showing up today in this busy Monday. I'm Sravan. I'm here to ask an investment of 2 crores for an exchange of 20% in my company. To tell you more about the company, before I tell you more about the company, let me tell you a story. Back in 2023, where I was looking to hire a freelance photographer for my niece's birthday party. It was a whole mess. I spent an entire week to figure out who to hire. I went through all the Instagram, Facebook, landed on the WhatsApp. I couldn't really compare which photographer to go ahead with. It was a whole mess. And on the other side, I was also a freelance photographer working in India this year on the same time. I also know there are a lot of mess happening in the other side of the table as a photographer. I was working for a couple of bands and the restaurants. It was a whole mess. In the whole process, I understood that photography is all, on the one side, it's all about the expensive studios, and the other side, it's all about the hobbies. But somewhere in between, there is a line, a gray space to work on. And that's where the finding grace in the world of photography comes in. To look into it, my one-liner, opening up a freelance event photography academy by bringing structure and scale of how photographers and clients actually work. To look into it even better, let me start with the gap that I found. 95% of the photographers, 95% of the freelance photography business happens through Instagram scrolls, or maybe Facebook, or maybe contacting that one friend in your phone book who has all the contacts, and it ends up in the WhatsApp. And photographers run their entire business through chart history or maybe memory. And it was a frustration. And just like anyone else, I did a 2x2 matrix. On the x-axis, it's about the photography dedicated and a general. And on the y-axis, it's about the managemental tool and only discovery. And I took the 10 competitors in India, especially in the South India, and plotted it in the 2x2 matrix. Interestingly, if I look into the quadrant on the top, where is full lifecycle management and the photography dedicated, there is no company existing, or there is no service existing. And that's where I found the gray, and I wanted to play on. To look into the even better, I did user interviews, surveys, secondary research and primary research, and these are the top 3 insights that I found. Talent brings the first, but the system scales. What I mean by that is just like in any other business, follow-ups or follow-backs or staying in connection brings you more projects. But when it comes to the freelance photographers, they said that that's where they're beginning, because they keep forgetting things. And post-event chaos is even more than booking chaos. What I mean by that is that when I started this, I thought that finding a photographer or maybe comparing a photographer or onboarding a photographer is the real task, but not really. When I was talking to the people, I figured out that post-event chaos is sometimes even more than finding a photographer. Just like what happens with the photographer. And also, when it comes to the portfolios for the photographers, they are really lacking. And when I went in deep dive, I understood that when they look into the DNS and the servers, they think that it's a rocket science. And also, when looking into my solution, I went ahead with a 3-layer integration, a 3-layer structure, where on the top layer, it's all about discovery, where you can find structured profiles, service expectations, and transparent availability. On the second layer, it's for the photographers, where it's all about to manage the relationship, where you have the CRM opportunity, follow-back opportunities, cloud, website builders, portfolio builders. And the third layer, which is an invisible layer, where I wanted to build and bring the governance and the standardization for the photography industry. What I mean by that is, in simple words, imagine if you wanted to become a cab driver. What do? You go to Uber or maybe Lyft. I wanted to bring something like that for the freelance photographers. They just need to come to me. And here is the solution, FrameIt.
Welcome to FrameIt Studio, your complete photography business dashboard. Start as a photographer, one tap and you're in your studio. Revenue at a glance, monthly trends, payouts, and growth all in one view. Spotted a past client's anniversary coming up? Send a personal note in seconds. This is the relationship engine at work. Your dashboard, everything that matters today. Bookings, deliveries, earnings, follow-ups, one screen. Bookings, every upcoming session organized with status, client details, and event info. No more double booking. Clients, your entire relationship history. Every event, every preference, every life milestone tracked. Calendar, your availability, synced and visual. Block dates, see what's coming, stay in control. Everything you need to run your photography business, one platform, and that's FrameIt.
And that's FrameIt. And one thing that I wanted to focus on is that I'm not building on features, I'm building an infrastructure. What I mean by that is that the technologies that came before, most of the technologies are ending up being a feature. For example, Skype, a video conference technology, a revolutionary technology, end up being a feature. Or maybe there is another technology like Clubhouse, most of you already know that, which came in the pandemic. It was the fastest growing social media platform in the pandemic. But what happened? It ended up being a feature in X and WhatsApp. And I don't want to be one of them. So I'm building an infrastructure to stand on. And looking into the financial models, I have the two financial models. One is subscription-based, and the other one is the commission-based. Subscription-based is for the photographers to use the tools that I'm building on, and the commission-based is I'm going to charge 10% of the event that they form through my platform. And looking into the roadmap, initially in the phase one, I wanted to start with the two tech cities in South India, which is Hyderabad and Bangalore. And in the second phase, I wanted to expand it to the two more metropolitan cities in South India, which is Mumbai and Chennai. And then eventually, I wanted to expand it to India and then global. And let's talk about the numbers. As per the plan, I'm gonna achieve my break even after 2.5 years, and ending up a revenue over 80 crore Indian rupees by the end of year 5, with an EBITDA of 82% by the end of year 5, and we'll be ending up having more than 250K photographers by the end of year 5. And as I said, I'm asking for 2%, which is, 2 crores, which is 240K USD for 20% of equity, where I'm going to use 40% for the product development, and 25% for the photographers onboarding, 15% for the growth and the marketing, and 15% for the operations. And if I look into the scope, right now it is valuated at $1.2 million, and I'm going to go ahead with the pre-seed, and by the end of year three, I'm planning, the valuation is going to be $5.4 million, and I'm going to raise one more investment, which is seed investment. And after around year 5, it is valuated as $5.5 million, and then I'm going to raise a Series A. But what's the selling point? The selling point is the photographers community that we are building. Yes, there is no photography community existing so far. If someone like Nikon or maybe Canon needs to promote their product, there is no photography community to tap. And that's what we are building. And that's FrameIt, an operating system for the photographer industry that was never given before. And here is the QR code for the website if you guys wanted to go through. It's live. And I wanted to conclude by saying that designers have tools and developers have communities, and it's time for photographers to get one. And I also understand that it's time for you to ask questions.